She blocked you. She ghosted you. Now you're sitting there scrolling through messages wondering what the hell just happened. You were there for her. You made her feel like the center of your world. And the more you gave, the colder she became. Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth. When you make her your priority, you kill the mystery. When you orbit her, you kill the attraction. But when you step back, when you detach, when you become the man who no longer needs her validation, that's when the game flips. That's when she starts noticing and wanting. Not because you said the perfect thing, not because you begged for her attention, but because your silence, your absence, your peace speaks louder than any words you could ever say. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today. Why detachment is the ultimate power. How walking away with strength makes you unforgettable. And why women can't resist a man who's mastered himself. So if you're tired of chasing, tired of overthinking, tired of being the nice guy who gets ignored, stay right here, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly why detachment works and how to own it. And before we go deeper, if you're ready to level up, hit that subscribe button now. This channel is here to help you become the man you were meant to be, grounded, strong, magnetic. Let's get into it. Number 1. She craves what she can't control. She doesn't admit it, not to you, not to her friends, not even to herself. But the truth is deeper than surface-level attraction, more primal than logic, and it lives beneath her every decision. She is drawn to what she cannot fully define, to the man whose energy cannot be contained, to the mystery of presence without dependence. And that's why your absence shifts something in her chest, not because you pulled away, but because in doing so you disrupted the emotional script she's used to playing. She's not chasing love. She's chasing the part of herself that felt powerful when she knew she could summon your attention with a text, a glance, or a hint of vulnerability. But when you stopped responding, not out of anger but out of peace, it flipped her understanding of you upside down. You no longer orbit her, and that loss of emotional pull, it shatters the illusion that she was the sun. Every day she checks the space you once occupied, and every day that space grows quieter, colder, more unsettling. She won't tell anyone about the weight in her chest when your name doesn't pop up. She won't talk about how many times she types your name into the search bar and deletes it. She won't confess that she replays the last conversation looking for answers she can't decode, because she doesn't want to admit that she lost control. But inside it's chaos, because she wasn't ready for you to stop needing her. She wasn't prepared for the emotional gravity to shift. And that shift, it rewires everything. It turns the man she assumed she had wrapped around her finger into the question she can't stop asking. Women don't obsess over the man who gives them everything. They lose sleep over the one who became everything and then vanished into his own life. And no, this isn't about being toxic. It's not about playing games. It's about alignment. When you finally understand your value, when your purpose takes priority over your pain, when your peace becomes louder than your longing, everything about your energy changes. You walk different. You speak different. You no longer reach out because the part of you that once needed to be seen by her is now being seen by the man in the mirror who finally knows who he is. And she feels that in ways she can't put into words. Because women by nature seek security, not in money, not in status, in emotional certainty. And when you remove the emotional reward she once received from your attention, when you stop playing the role of the ever-available, ever-forgiving, ever-waiting man, you force her to confront the reality she never anticipated. That maybe, just maybe, she wasn't as irreplaceable as she believed. And that realization tears at her confidence more than 1,000 arguments ever could. Because it means she has to face herself. It means she has to look at her own reflection and wonder why the man who once made her feel like the center of the universe no longer sees her as necessary. And the worst part, she can't fix it. She can't repair what wasn't broken. She can't win back what you no longer want. And that truth becomes her obsession. Not because she wants to love you better, but because she needs to understand why the script changed and she was written out of the ending. That's what happens when a man reclaims his energy. When he learns that his attention is a gift, not a guarantee. When he realizes that peace is worth more than temporary comfort. You become the echo she can't silence in her mind. The what-if that lingers when her phone buzzes with someone else's name, but doesn't bring the same rush. And slowly, you stop being a chapter. You become a benchmark, and no one else quite measures up. Because once a woman loses control of the man who truly detached, not to punish but to evolve, she spends the rest of her life wondering what she had, what she broke, and what she'll never touch again. Number 2. Neediness destroys attraction. Let's be brutally honest here. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that kills attraction faster than neediness. I know it sounds harsh. Maybe you've been told otherwise. Maybe you thought being the good guy, showing how much you care, always being there for her would make her feel safe and loved. But the truth, it backfires every single time. When you show up constantly texting first, double texting, dropping everything just to see her, it doesn't pull her closer. It pushes her away. Because here's what's happening under the surface. Every time you reach out without her initiating, every time you check in because she hasn't replied, every time you drop a miss you, when the vibe is off, you're sending one very clear message: my self-worth depends on your attention. And no woman, no matter what she says, wants to feel like she's holding that kind of power over you. It's heavy, it's unattractive, and it signals one thing to her primal brain: you need her more than she needs you. Think about that. When a man becomes needy, he's no longer seen as a challenge. He's no longer a mystery. He's predictable, emotionally dependent, and worst of all, replaceable. Because if you're willing to give all of yourself for scraps of her attention, what does that say about your standards? Now let me tell you why this happens. It's simple. Most men start giving too much too soon because they've been conditioned to think that effort equals value. If I show her how much I care, she'll appreciate me. If I'm always available, she'll see how loyal I am. If I'm the one who's there for her when others aren't, she'll choose me. I get it. The intentions are good. But the execution, it backfires. Because attraction, real attraction, doesn't work that way. It's not about what you give, it's about what you represent. A man who knows his worth doesn't overextend. He values his time, he protects his energy, he invests only where it's reciprocated. And when a woman senses that, when she realizes you're not glued to your phone waiting for her text, that's when the attraction builds. Not out of scarcity, but out of respect. Women want to feel a man's presence, not his desperation. So if you're sending endless messages, if you're always first to initiate, if you're apologizing for bothering her, stop. Right now. You're giving her no space to miss you, no reason to chase you, no time to wonder about you. In fact, your constant attention is removing the very tension that sparks desire. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a man who's deeply respected and admired, spending his days glued to his phone, chasing after one woman who won't reply? Exactly. A grounded man doesn't chase. He moves forward. He builds. He leads. He becomes a man whose life is so full, so purpose-driven, that her attention is just one part of it, not the center of it. And guess what? That's magnetic. That's attractive. Because she knows if she doesn't step up, if she doesn't match your vibe, you won't beg. You won't plead. You'll move on without looking back. Now if you're thinking, but what if I lose her if I stop trying? Here's the truth. If your effort is the only thing keeping her around, you've already lost her. Real connection can't be forced. It can't be bought with more attention. It has to be inspired. And nothing inspires desire like a man who's in control of himself. A man who chooses his actions not from fear of losing her, but from a place of strength and certainty. So, if this is hitting home, if you recognize you've been giving too much, trying too hard, now is the time to shift. Pull back, reclaim your focus, get busy with your purpose. And if you need a simple mantra to keep yourself grounded, here it is. I am the prize. Say it, mean it, live it. Because the man who carries that truth in his energy, the man who moves through life as if he is already complete, doesn't chase, he attracts. Stay tuned, because what we're about to get into next will show you exactly how detachment becomes your greatest power. Number 3, detachment is the ultimate power. Let's talk about the one thing that will change your life more than any tactic, any line, any strategy. True detachment. Not the fake kind. Not pretending you don't care while secretly obsessing. I'm talking about deep, genuine detachment. The kind that comes from knowing you're already enough. The kind that makes your energy magnetic without effort. Because here's the reality: when you finally let go of needing her approval, when her attention is no longer the thing you're chasing, that's when everything shifts. She feels it. Everyone around you feels it. Most importantly, you feel it. But I get it. That's easier said than done. So let's break it down, what detachment really is and why it's your ultimate power. First, let's clear this up. Detachment is not indifference. It's not bitterness. It's not giving women the cold shoulder or playing some fake alpha role. It's peace. It's walking into every situation already full, not needing to take anything from anyone to feel whole. It's this calm, grounded energy that says, if this works, great. If it doesn't, I'll be fine because my life is already full. And trust me, that energy is rare. Most guys walk around carrying a heavy need to be chosen, to be validated. You can hear it in their tone, in their words, in the way they lean in too hard, too soon. Women feel that. They sense when a man's emotional state depends on their attention, and that's when the attraction fades. Now here's why detachment is so powerful. Because when you master it, you stop seeking. And when you stop seeking, you become attractive in a way no tactic can replicate. Think about it. The man who doesn't need approval moves differently. He speaks slower. He holds eye contact longer. He isn't afraid of silence. He doesn't chase because there's nothing he's desperate to prove. That's power. And in a world where most people are dying for attention, the man who can sit comfortably in his own presence stands out like nothing else. Let me tell you a little secret. When a woman meets a man like that, it shakes her. Not because he's playing games, not because he's being difficult, but because he forces her to level up. She realizes this is a man who won't lower his standards, who won't bend just to please. A man who values himself more than he values her validation. And that's the type of man she wants to be around. That's the man who commands respect not just from her, but from everyone. Now you might be thinking, that sounds good, but how do I get there? It starts here. You have to stop trying to earn worth through relationships. Your worth isn't something she gives you. It's something you embody. The minute you internalize that, the chasing stops. You stop sending messages to fill the silence. You stop rearranging your life to please her. You stop second-guessing yourself after every interaction, because your center no longer moves based on someone else's approval. This is Stoicism in action, controlling what you can, releasing what you can't. You don't chase her, you chase purpose. You don't seek her attention, you seek growth. And here's the beauty of it: when you live this way, the right women will notice. They'll sense it in your energy, your vibe, your tone. And the ones who respect themselves, the ones you want, will be drawn in. And even if they're not, you're still winning, because your life is no longer defined by whether or not a woman says yes to you. Now here's the real test. When she pulls back, when she tries to get a reaction, can you hold your frame? Can you stay detached? Not cold, not rude, but grounded. Because when you can, you've already won. And remember, detachment is a muscle. You build it by focusing on what matters. Purpose, progress, presence. Fill your life with things that inspire you, that build you, that sharpen you. And watch how little you need to chase. Because a man who is full, who is at peace, who knows his worth, doesn't chase. He attracts. If you've ever felt this shift in yourself or you're working toward it now, drop a quick comment, "I've felt that." And stick with me, because what we're about to cover next is where things really get interesting. Number 4, she will try to pull you back. You've pulled away. You've detached. You've stopped chasing, stopped seeking her validation. And here's the thing, she feels it. She knows it, even if she doesn't say it out loud. And guess what usually happens next? She'll try to pull you back. Not because she's suddenly realized how much she loves you, not because she's had some life-changing moment of clarity, but because she can feel the shift in your energy. And that unsettles her. See, when you detach, you change the emotional rhythm between you two. The old dynamic where she led and you followed is broken. And now, without that familiar pattern, she feels out of control. And most people hate losing control. So what happens? She'll test the waters. It starts small. Maybe you get a text out of nowhere. Something casual. "Hey, how have you been?" Or a message that references an old inside joke, a song, a memory. It might look innocent, like friendly curiosity, but don't be fooled. It's not about missing you. It's about checking whether you're still there, whether she can still pull you back into her orbit. She wants to know, does she still have emotional access to you? And here's where most men mess up. They see that message and they react. They think, "She misses me, it's working." And they jump right back into old habits, replying fast, being overly eager, trying to rebuild the connection. But what does that really show her? It tells her, you haven't really changed. You're still available, still waiting, still attached. And in that moment, just like that, the dynamic flips again, and she's back in control. So, what should you do instead? You stay grounded. You don't react from emotion. You don't rush to reply. You don't interpret her message as some magical sign that she wants to rebuild something meaningful. Because here's the truth, if she genuinely wanted to reconnect, she wouldn't do it through subtle texts or playful callbacks. She'd come forward directly, clear, open, vulnerable. But when she's sending test messages, that's her way of checking your level of attachment without having to risk her ego. So your job is simple. Don't bite. Stay centered. Stay in your purpose. Keep living your life. Because when you stay non-reactive, when you don't chase the bait, she'll feel that even more deeply. And ironically, that's when she'll start pulling harder. You might see more frequent messages, more obvious attempts to get your attention, maybe even guilt-tripping or stirring up old emotions. And when that happens, remind yourself why you started this journey of detachment in the first place. It wasn't about making her chase you. It wasn't about winning some game. It was about reclaiming your peace, reclaiming your power. Because a man who truly values himself doesn't let his emotional state be controlled by subtle texts or old memories. He leads his life on his terms. So, if you start seeing those little pullback attempts, recognize them for what they are, signals of your progress, signs that your detachment is working. And when you hold your frame, when you stay calm, clear, detached, that's when the real power shows up. You become the man she can't shake, the one she can't figure out, the one she can't easily pull back into old patterns. And that's where real attraction is born, not from chasing, but from choosing yourself first. If this resonates with you, if you've ever had someone try to pull you back after you finally detached, leave a comment. I've seen this. And if you're serious about building this mindset for real, if you're ready to become the man who commands respect in any dynamic, then hit that subscribe button right now and consider joining our Stoic community for men. Inside, we go deeper. We sharpen these skills together. We help each other stay accountable. It's time to stop chasing and start leading. And what we're about to cover next, you won't want to miss it, because this is where everything starts to change. Number 5, she'll wonder if she was just a phase. There's a moment she never expected would come. It's not when you first pull back. It's not when you go silent. It's when the silence lasts. It's when you've moved on, not with anger, not with resentment, but with peace. That's when the questions creep in. Not questions about you, questions about herself. Was I just a phase to him? Because here's what happens when a woman sees you stop chasing, stop reacting, stop looking back. At first, she might tell herself, he'll be back, he always comes back. But as days turn to weeks, and you remain calm, focused, unattached, a new fear starts to grow inside her. Maybe I wasn't as unforgettable as I thought. Now, why does this happen? Because most women, especially the ones used to being the center of attention, aren't wired to think they could be easily replaced. When you were always available, always texting, always proving yourself, she felt secure in her place in your life. She believed she had that role locked in. But when that role disappears, when you rewrite the story, when you evolve into a man who no longer needs her presence to feel complete, that's when the insecurity starts to bite. She won't show it. She won't say it out loud. But inside, late at night alone with her thoughts, she'll scroll through your old messages, replay old conversations. Wonder if you're thinking of her, if she mattered as much as she believed. And here's what's fascinating, it's not really about love at this point. It's about ego, about identity, about her place in your life. And the hardest part for her to swallow, that maybe she was just a chapter, a phase, a lesson, not the story's ending. And that thought, it lingers. Because now she starts to question everything. Was I really that important to him? Did he move on that easily? Was I just someone he outgrew? And here's where your detachment becomes truly powerful. Because when you reach this point, when you've done the work, when you've filled your life with purpose, when you no longer seek her validation, she feels it. And no amount of social media posts, no amount of new guys, no fake smiles, can erase that little voice inside her. What if I was just a phase in his life? Now, let's be clear. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making her suffer. It's about standing in your power. It's about understanding that sometimes the most attractive thing a man can do is move on, with grace, with dignity, with purpose. Because here's the truth. When a man heals, when he grows beyond the dynamic, when he's no longer emotionally tethered to the past, that's when he becomes unforgettable. Not because of what he said, not because of what he gave, but because of who he became. And in her mind, you shift from the guy who used to chase me to the one who got away. Now, if you're feeling this, if you've ever been in that space where you wondered if she'd question her place in your life, drop a quick comment. I want this. Because trust me, when you embody this mindset, you're not just changing how she sees you, you're changing how you see yourself. And once you reach that level, everything changes. Now stay with me, because what we're about to cover next will show you exactly how to solidify this shift and why this new version of you will be the one she can't replace. You won't want to miss it. Number 6. She'll mirror your energy. Here's something that catches a lot of men off guard. Once you've detached, once you've stopped chasing and pulled your energy back, she will start to mirror you. And at first it won't make any sense. You'll be thinking, wait, she was cold, distant, ignoring me, and now out of nowhere she's texting more, watching my stories, replying quicker. What's going on? I'll tell you exactly what's going on. You've shifted the energy. See, for a long time her rhythm guided the dynamic. You followed her lead. You were the one reacting, the one adjusting your behavior, your tone, your pace, all based on how she responded. And whether you realized it or not, that gave her control. But once you detach, once you stop reacting, stop trying to manage the outcome, something changes. The emotional balance flips. She starts feeling uncertain, not because of something you did, but because of what you're no longer doing. No more instant replies, no more checking her socials, no more subtle hints trying to win her back. You've reclaimed your focus, and when that happens, her instincts kick in. Without even meaning to, she starts trying to recalibrate. She'll begin matching your tone, your pace, your availability. Why? Because deep down, people crave emotional balance. When a man becomes calm, grounded, detached, especially a man she once felt control over, it creates an internal tension for her, a gap between the old pattern and the new one. And to close that gap, she starts adjusting her behavior to match yours. It won't be dramatic at first, it'll be subtle. A quick reply when you're slow to respond. An unexpected like on an old post. A random message on a quiet night. And it won't be because she's suddenly fallen head over heels. It's instinct, her subconscious trying to re-establish connection, to regain a sense of emotional equilibrium. And here's the key. The more centered you stay, the more she will mirror that energy. Because the more grounded you are, the more you project value without having to say a word. Now here's where most men get tripped up. They see her mirroring. They think, it's working, she wants me again, and they rush back in. They start doing too much too soon, and just like that, the dynamic flips back. The balance is lost. You have to remember this. Her mirroring your energy is not an invitation to fall back into old patterns. It's a signal that your detachment is working, that your growth is real. And the only way to maintain that power is to stay consistent, stay focused, stay in your purpose. Because the man who doesn't waver when she starts chasing, that's the man who truly holds the frame. And that's when you become magnetic. Not because you're playing games, but because your self-worth no longer hinges on her responses. Now, if you've ever noticed this shift, if you've seen someone start to mirror you after you pulled back, drop a comment, "I've seen this." Because once you've felt this shift, you'll understand how powerful your energy really is. And stick with me, because what we're about to dive into next will show you exactly why this version of you becomes the one she can't replace. Number 7. You become the one she can't replace. Let's be honest. In the beginning, she thought you'd always be there. Not just physically, but emotionally, energetically. As that safe option, she believed deep down that no matter what happened, no matter how distant she got or how much she tested you, you'd come back, you'd answer her texts, you'd be waiting ready to pick up where things left off. And for a while that might have been true. You hadn't detached yet. You were still caught in the old dynamic, still hoping for things to shift. But now, you've changed. You're no longer chasing, no longer waiting, no longer building your worth around her validation. You've moved on, not out of spite, not out of bitterness, but out of growth. And here's the thing most guys miss when you do this for real, when you detach fully. You don't just become harder to get. You become irreplaceable. And here's why. Most men, they move on by distraction, by finding someone new, by pretending they don't care. But that's not real detachment. That's avoidance. You, on the other hand, you've done the work. You've sat with yourself, faced your patterns, built a life that's full on your terms. And because of that, you've raised your standard. You've become a man who's no longer available for dynamics that drain him. A man who doesn't tolerate breadcrumbs. A man who values his peace more than temporary comfort. And when a woman senses that, when she truly sees that this isn't a phase, this isn't an act, it hits her deeper than you can imagine. She realizes, I can't replace that. Because let's face it, finding another guy who'll give her attention, easy. Finding another man who's mastered himself, who radiates calm strength, who isn't swayed by her moods or games, that's rare. And that's what makes you unforgettable. It's not about what you said, not about the gifts, the dates, the effort. It's about who you became. And here's where it gets interesting. When she's out with other guys, when she's entertaining new attention, there will always be this quiet comparison happening in her mind. Does this new guy have the same presence, the same calm, the same depth? And the answer, more often than not, will be number. Because the truth is, when you detach, when you heal, when you build that grounded presence, you set a new standard, not just for yourself, but for anyone who tries to step into your space. You've raised the bar. And here's the part she didn't expect, that she wouldn't be able to match her old memories of you with the new reality of men she meets. That's when the what if starts to creep in. What if I undervalued him? What if I didn't realize what I had? What if he's really moved on? And the hardest one to swallow, what if I can't replace him? Now understand this isn't about ego. It's not about winning. It's about becoming a man who's so complete, so aligned, so at peace, that no one else's attention, validation, or presence can shake that. And when you live from that space, you naturally attract higher quality women, deeper connections, better relationships, because you've become the man who chooses, not the man who waits to be chosen. So, if this is resonating with you, if you're on that journey right now, drop a quick comment. I've felt that. Because when you become the man she can't replace, not through force, but through growth, everything shifts. And what's coming next? Well, let's just say this version of you. It's only the beginning. Number 8. Why women chase men who pull away. Now here's the part that confuses so many guys. You pull away, you stop chasing, you detach, and suddenly she starts chasing you. But why does this happen? Let's break it down, because when you understand this dynamic, you'll never fall into the old patterns again. See, at the core of human psychology, we all want what feels just out of reach. It's not about playing games. It's about basic human nature. When something is always available, when it's predictable, easy, guaranteed, the mind stops valuing it the same way. But when something pulls away, when there's space, distance, uncertainty, the mind becomes curious again. And with attraction, it works the same way. When you were constantly texting, constantly showing up, constantly proving yourself, she felt in control. She knew where she stood. There was no tension, no mystery, no reason to chase. But when you stopped, when you detached for real, that balance flipped. Now she's left wondering, why isn't he chasing anymore? Why is he so calm? Did he lose interest? Did I misjudge his feelings? And those questions trigger something powerful: uncertainty. And uncertainty, when combined with attraction, is what sparks the chase. Because now her mind starts filling in the blanks. She starts paying more attention. Every delayed reply, every missed text, every day of silence, it all creates space for her imagination to work. Who is he with? What is he doing? Why does he seem so different now? And here's the key, this chase isn't always about love. Many times it's about regaining control, about restoring the old dynamic, about proving to herself that she can still pull you back. Because when a woman loses that sense of influence, when the man who once orbited her world steps out of it, it creates an emotional imbalance. And to restore it, she starts chasing. Not always consciously. Often it's subtle, more accidental messages, likes on old photos, reaching out through friends. It's an instinctive pull to test whether you're still emotionally available. Now here's where your power comes in. If you rush back in, trying to reward her chase, the dynamic resets. You go right back into old patterns. But if you stay grounded, if you stay detached, you flip the frame permanently. Because now she's chasing something real. A man who doesn't need her. A man whose peace, purpose, and life don't revolve around her. And here's what's fascinating. The more she senses that your detachment isn't an act, that you've genuinely shifted, the harder she'll chase. Because deep down, women are drawn to men who value themselves. Men who aren't desperate for validation. Men who live with purpose. When you pull away not to manipulate, but because you're focused on your growth, that's when real attraction is built. Because now, you're no longer the guy who needs her. You're the guy who chooses, who gets access to his life. And that, my friend, is magnetic. So if you've ever experienced this, if you've ever pulled away and watched her chase, drop a quick comment, "I've seen this." And stay tuned, because what's coming next, it's where we take this to a whole new level. Number 9. The magnetic power of emotional distance. Let's be real. Most guys think the way to build attraction is by getting closer. More time, more texts, more proof of how much they care. But here's what they miss sometimes. The most powerful move is distance. Not physical distance, emotional distance. Because when you create that emotional space, when you stop giving constant access to your thoughts, your time, your feelings, something incredible happens. You become magnetic. See, here's the psychology behind it. When someone has full access to you, when they know what you're thinking, feeling, doing at all times, there's no curiosity left, no mystery, no tension. And without those things, attraction fades. But when you pull back emotionally, when you no longer broadcast everything you feel, you invite curiosity. You create space for her imagination. And in that space, attraction grows. She starts wondering, what's he thinking? Why is he so calm? Why does he seem so untouchable now? And that curiosity, that tension, is what drives deeper attraction, because now you're no longer fully available. You're no longer that open book she once thought she had figured out. You've reclaimed your emotional space. And here's the key. It's not about ignoring her. It's not about playing cold. It's about being selective. Being intentional with what parts of yourself you share and when. Because the man who guards his emotional energy, who doesn't just hand it out to anyone, is rare. And women, especially high-value women, feel that. They sense the difference between a man who's desperate to be understood and a man who's already at peace with himself. And guess which one they chase? Exactly. So how do you cultivate this magnetic emotional distance? It starts with boundaries. Knowing when to engage and when to step back. Knowing that you don't owe instant replies. You don't owe constant validation. You engage when it aligns with your values, with your time, with your purpose. Because the man who lives with purpose doesn't cling to conversations that don't serve him. He values depth, not constant chatter. And when you live that way, women notice, they feel the pull. Because now, instead of getting endless access to your energy, they have to earn it. And that's attractive. Because anything that's easily given is easily dismissed. But what's earned, what requires effort, presence, patience, is valued. Now, if you're thinking, does that mean I should never show emotion? Of course not. It means you show it when it's genuine, when it's earned, not because you feel pressured to keep her attention, but because it naturally flows from a place of strength. And when a woman experiences that, when she sees that your emotional world is not on display for just anyone, she leans in, she starts investing more, trying harder, respecting more. Because now you're no longer a man trying to be chosen. You're a man who chooses. So, if you're starting to understand this shift, if you've seen how emotional distance can actually build more connection, drop a quick comment. I've felt that. And trust me, what we're about to cover next will show you how to embody this magnetic presence even deeper. Stick around, you don't want to miss this. Number 10. How being unavailable sparks her desire. Let's be clear, being unavailable doesn't mean ignoring her. It doesn't mean ghosting, playing hard to get, or acting cold. It means this: you have a life that's bigger than her. A life filled with purpose, with priorities, with passions. And because of that, you're not always available. You can't always respond right away. You can't drop everything just to prove how much you care. And this is exactly what sparks her desire. See, when a man is constantly available, always ready to reply, always making space for her, always prioritizing her over his own life, he becomes predictable. And predictable kills desire. Now, why does this happen? It comes down to basic psychology. When something is always there, when it's easy to reach, easy to control, the mind starts to devalue it. But when something is scarce, when it requires effort, attention, investment, it feels more valuable. This is true with anything: status, success, relationships. And when it comes to attraction, being unavailable in the right way creates exactly that effect. It makes her lean in. It makes her wonder what's going on in his world. Why isn't he always around? Who is he spending time with? And that curiosity, that emotional tension, is the seed of desire. Now, here's where many men get it wrong. They think being unavailable means cutting her off, acting cold, creating fake distance, but that's not real. Women can sense when it's an act. True unavailability comes from living a full life, from having your own path, your own mission, a life that doesn't stop because of any one person. When you operate from that place, your time naturally becomes more valuable. You reply when you're ready, not when you're trying to manage her emotions. You make plans based on what aligns with your goals, not on what you think will keep her interested. And because of that, every interaction becomes more meaningful. She feels the difference between a man who's chasing her and a man who's choosing how to engage. And here's the subtle truth: the less she can predict you, the more she's drawn to you. Not in a manipulative way, but because people naturally crave what feels valuable. When you're not always available, not always offering endless access, your presence carries weight. And women respond to that. Now, some guys will ask, but won't she lose interest if I'm not always there? The answer: only if the connection was weak to begin with. If you being less available causes her to drift, she wasn't really invested. But if the attraction is real, if she respects you, your unavailability will pull her in even more, because deep down, women want a man whose life doesn't revolve around them. A man they have to earn access to. And here's the beauty of it: the more you live this way, the more authentic it becomes. You're not faking distance. You're simply prioritizing what matters most: yourself, your growth, your purpose. And that in turn makes you even more attractive. Because now, when you do give her your attention, when you do spend time with her, it means something. It's a choice, not an obligation. And that choice holds power. So understand this: being unavailable isn't about strategy. It's about standards. It's about knowing your value and living a life where your energy isn't handed out for free. because the man who values his time, his focus, his energy, naturally inspires desire. And when you embody that, you don't have to chase, you attract. And that is how unavailability sparks her deepest desire. And that's it for today, my friend. If you're ready to keep building this mindset, if you're serious about becoming the man who commands respect, who attracts through strength, not need, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. And if you want to go even deeper, if you want access to more advanced content tools and a private brotherhood of men on the same path, consider joining our Stoic members community. Inside we work together, we stay sharp, we hold each other accountable so you can level up even faster. Thank you for watching today. Stay strong, stay grounded, and I'll see you right here tomorrow.